Now the ridges, I knew that there was just no way I would try to model all this stuff. It's just crazy. I mean, I probably could, probably take me a long time to do it. But a much quicker, much better way to do it is to use displacement. And I haven't seen a lot of it used, and so I thought, on the forums or whatever, so I thought it might be a good challenge. And I haven't had a lot of success with the actual smoothness of this stuff either. But I think it comes down to just file preparation, as as clear and as clean as you can get your image map to be, and understand what is how to make a good map. And I'm going to try to show, I'll at least show you what I did. I don't know if it's the best way, but it's the way that I used. Anyway, there are some artifacts in here I wanted to reveal to you. You can see it especially in here. And I can, of course, go in Photoshop and clean that up a little bit. This might get a little pixelated in the video, but it's there. This is rendered at a relatively, it's about 9 by 12 image at 300 dpi. I work in print and not web standards, so anyway, it's a really big file in terms of web. But anyway, point is, going back to the ridges, is that there is some artifacting that's going on in there. But one of the cool things about it, and I didn't really anticipate this happening, is that you can see that there's a core. See this core, not the ridges, but the negative space in here. That's the geometry, and then the map is set to 0 or white, and so that's not being displaced. I might actually have that set to a little bit lower than, and I'll check and let you know. So anyway, but the point is that I didn't think that you could do that where it would come out over the side. And anyway, I was really pleased that it actually worked like that. But I'll show you the map here in a second of what I used and just the basic prep of how I used it. But it's not perfect. It's not a perfect solution. You can see there's some ridges up here as well. I think it just depends on what your final output is. If it's going to be animated, if you're going to be really in here tight on this, then this displacement may not be the best thing. Now, if it is going to be animated and it is going to be moving, it might be, because the likelihood of you seeing some of these ridges probably is very low. But it's just it was pretty quick how it all came together, and so I think it works. But yeah, I mean, at a comfortable distance, or even even when you're zoomed in a little bit, unless you're really looking for it, you don't see that. And my art director would probably come in here and say, clean all this stuff up, which I probably should do if it's going to be printed for a magazine or whatever. But anyway, the point is that if the cleaner your map is, the more you understand what's going to happen in the final image and how it's going to be represented, will help you to determine what sort of attention you need to spend or you need to have toward making your map. Anyway, that's a little bit too long of a definition. Let me get to the map. Okay, and here is the map. Now, I created this in Illustrator. I did a screenshot which I showed you on the web or on the forums, but this is a little bit tighter. And this file is, let's see, these are the dimensions of the file, and I can make them much bigger, and I would probably have better results if I made the file bigger. But understand, making it bigger, you're going to that's something that you don't need to create it small and then make it big. You need to make it big, and then if anything, you make it smaller. But initially, it would be helpful to show you an Illustrator file too, so let me do that. Okay, now we're in Illustrator. Let me just hide some of these palettes. This file, this is the original file in Illustrator, and you can see how very sharp it is. This is a vector image. If you know Illustrator, you know what I'm talking about, but if you don't know Illustrator, Vector is, I need my layers. Make sure that's that. Okay. Vector is just, I'm not going to try to explain it, but it's basically resolution independent. So you can scale this up and down within Illustrator, and you won't see a hit in terms of resolution, which is great when you're creating very tight graphics or very hard-edged graphics. It can do softer, blending too. But if you're going to create something that you need razor sharp, and you can zoom in here, and it still is razor sharp. That's not what you need to create a displacement map for the finish. But in my opinion, this is the best place to start. So what I did is, I use Flickr a lot to grab some photos as reference, and this is a wonderful, much better solution I found personally than doing a Google search of images. There are just really some talented photographers on Flickr that I get inspiration from. I don't use their work, but only just as reference, if I would to go to the library and check out a book on bubble wands or whatever. Anyway, so this gave me the idea of putting this little embossed, see the ridge around here, and then the actual embossed, lettering, and then it just gave me an idea of the depth and the general shapes of how many of these little holes am I going to put in there. And so I used that as a guide, and I came up with this. And then I brought this into Modo to create the actual geometry. And you've seen the geometry in Modo that from a screenshot. And now I guess I should probably open up Modo.